Hey everybody, and good morning. Today is April 6th, 2019. My name is Derek, and in this video we're going to be exploring the mainstream media and how they use the ancient occulted language of Gematria, otherwise known as the practice of coding numbers into words. This practice dates back many hundreds, if not thousands of years, tracing back to the Hebrew and Greek languages. But as we've come to discover, this language of numerology, letters and numbers, is also applied to the English language. And we'll explore how that works as this video goes on. Now, I'm still working on setting up my screen here for some reason. It doesn't want to put my calculator on the right side. Oh, jeez. All right, we'll just switch these up. Little technical difficulty to start off this live stream, but no big deal. We're going to kick this off in a second. There's several news stories I want to talk about this week. And the first of them, well, just to kind of explain how this numerology works. For instance, yesterday on CNN.com, the main story was this article here. And it was about a family from New Zealand who went to an Airbnb in Ireland and discovered that they were being filmed and live streamed online. And this is the type of story that, there's so many things going on in the world. You have to wonder why a news organization would choose to publish a story such as this and make it their main feature article. And when you understand that the mainstream media is using numerology, it paints a much clearer picture as far as why these articles are released on the dates they are. Now, it's my contention that many of the stories that we hear about in the mainstream media are actually completely fake. However, if this story is real and it did actually occur, then certainly the story was published on a particular date. Notice if you read this article, it says this all happened several weeks ago, or even longer. So why would it be today that this gets to be the feature story, front and center on CNN.com? So this all occurred on April 5th, or at least that's the date on which this story was headlines. April 5th is the date written 4/5 here in the United States. Now, if you go to Airbnb's Wikipedia page, you find that their company name is Airbnb Inc. Using the standard reduction method, where each double-digit number is reduced to a single digit prior to adding it to the equation, Airbnb Inc. equals 45, just like the date April 5th. This story took place in the country of Ireland. Using the reverse reduction method, where the alphabetic order is first flipped around where Z is 1, Y is 2, all the way through A is 26, and then reduced to a single digit, as you can see there on the bottom of the screen, Ireland also summing to 45. And this story is about peeping. The word peeping equals 45 in the reduction method as well. But it's not just the date that's significant, it's also the numerology of the date. For April 5th, we get a standard numerology of 28. We arrive at this number by adding 4 plus 5 plus 19, the year in which this story is published. In the reduction method, Airbnb on its own sums to 28. This story is about the Barker family. Also in reduction, Barker summing to 88 as well. The camera they discovered, of course, was hidden summing to 28 in the reverse reduction method. What I consider to be the primary date numerology, however, would be 48. You arrive at this number by adding 4 plus 5 plus 20 plus 19. Also, in the reverse reduction method, the country of New Zealand equals 48, and that's where this family is from. Also, what I noticed is that the television show Candid Camera first debuted in the year 48. I believe it was August 10th. So on a date with 48 numerology, we get a story about a hidden camera. And if you think it's ridiculous that I'm looking at a television series from 1948, understand this is the code the mainstream media is using. And they're always paying tribute to things of the past. Time is a very significant concept to this entire code. Furthermore, notice how New Zealand equals 105 in the alphabetic order and 165 with the alphabetic order reversed. This is the same as the date April 5th on which this story was published. Now, if you ask my opinion, it's unlikely this story is actually real. First of all, consider that even after this was discovered and proven by the family who was victimized by this, Airbnb failed to delist the property owner, which seems completely ridiculous. It took them several months before they finally delisted this person from their website. And again, the mainstream media exists primarily and maybe solely to control your mind. And part of that mind control process is keeping people in fear, keeping them concerned and worried. The more fearful someone is, the much better consumer they then become. And this is what the media does in virtually every story, trying to keep you a little off balance, uncentered, insecure. This is what they're here for, and this is what they're doing very, very well for most of the people in this world. So the main character in this story is named Andrew Barker, and I just want to point out, he sums to 57 and 78 in the reduction methods. This is the same as Scottish Rite, and it is the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry that is primarily responsible for giving us our fake news. New Zealand, by the way, was founded on the date May 7th, 5/7. This guy, Andrew Barker from New Zealand, his name summing to 57. In Jewish Gematria, this is a cipher based on the ancient Latin alphabetic order, placing more modern English characters at the end of the cipher. In this method, the word Masonic sums to 223. Andrew's wife's name was Neely Barker, which sums to 223 reverse. If you copy both of their names as it's listed in the article, Neely and Andrew Barker, notice in Jewish Gematria you get the value 1333. And if you're familiar with any of my work, these are the two primary hoax codes, 13 and 33. Furthermore, in English Extended Gematria, which uses the current 26-letter alphabet, Neely and Andrew Barker equals 1013. In numerology, it's important to understand that the zeros can be ignored. So here we just have the number 113. 113 is the primary number of dishonesty in the English language. All of these words and phrases in either the alphabetic or reverse alphabetic order sums to 13. Dishonest, not true, not factual, fiction, disinfo, perjury, bullshit, mainstream, politics, illusions, and many more. This isn't even an exhaustive list. And to show that this is no coincidence, when we scroll down and look up this interview, notice how CNN decided to interview the communications manager for Ireland's Data Protection Commission. This person's name is Aoife Mullen, which I may have mispronounced. Using the alphabetic order, this name sums to 113. So if you're looking for any truth from the Data Protection Commission in Ireland, don't expect any, because they're probably not really protecting your data that much. Also, 113 is related to the number 13. Of course, if you multiply 11 times 3, you get a product of 33. This is the reduction value of Masonry, who claims that the 33rd degree is their highest. Masonry controls the police, who operate out of secrecy, and they're supposedly there to keep order. And the reason I mention this is because if you measure from the date of this story to the date of New Zealand's founding, May 7th, as we mentioned up here, coded into the name of this guy from New Zealand, it's a span of 33 days. And of course, these outlets, very well aware of Gematria, not just publishing these stories on particular dates, but also coding their headlines with numbers appropriate to the story. Here, CNN gave us a headline that sums to 1019 in the reverse order. And this is pretty funny when you think about it. Here we have a story about a hidden camera. 119 is the value of all-seeing eye, using the standard alphabetic order. Even the small version of this headline that CNN gave us, family finds hidden camera in their Airbnb. Using Jewish Gematria, this sums to 1,190, another 119 sequence. Special shout out to everybody who jumped in this morning in the chat. I know it's pretty early. Well, that's about 11 o'clock right now, so I imagine a lot of you are waking up. And that's my goal, is to wake you guys up. Not like an alarm clock, you know, but waking you up to this geometric universe, this thought control matrix that exists, that's here to distract us, to keep our minds astray, and like I said, keep us afraid, make us all better consumers. Now, earlier this week, I did 2 videos on the death of rapper Nipsey Hussle. And just as we always say, these rappers are getting killed by a code. And it's not just rappers, it's actually most celebrities, but especially rappers, getting killed by this Eclipse crucifixion code that we've come to discover. And if you check out my channel, my videos on Nipsey Hussle, those are the most recent ones, and they should be simple to find. Well, I want to do a follow-up now that a suspect has been named and subsequently arrested in the case of the death of Nipsey Hussle. Earlier this week, we found out that the man who shot Nipsey was named Eric Holder. Now, we'll touch on why his name is Eric Holder. Understand that the name Eric Holder also applies to a former Attorney General of the United States. This guy was in office under President Barack Obama. Very infamous man. He was involved in the Fast and Furious weapon operations with gun walking. And now we get a story about a man named Eric Holder walking up to Nipsey Hussle and shooting him with a gun. So again, the mainstream media, using symbolism, using the same names even, you know, it's one thing if these two guys had the same gematria, but they actually have the same name. So, yeah, let's talk about why. First of all, the name Eric Holder, in the reverse alphabetic order, sums to 173. And this number also ties in to the Eclipse crucifixion code that we've come to discover. Think about last year. The most famous video on my YouTube channel is on the death of rapper XXXTentacion. His name sums to 173, and he died on the date that I predicted we would see a major eclipse sacrifice. Notice how his name also sums to 151 in reverse. That's the ordinal value of Jesus Christ. XXXTentacion died 146 days after his birthday, and it was exactly 43 weeks after the 2017 Great American Eclipse. So the name Eric Holder also sums to 173. Now, why is this number part of the crucifixion code? Well, in the Bible, during the crucifixion in the New Testament, it said that Jesus cried out loud, "Eli, Eli," and this translates to, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" The word Eli, in all caps, when you flip this upside down, it gives you the number 173. Eric Holder in reduction also sums to 61. This is the reverse value of the name Jesus, 61. Rapper XXXTentacion also had a 61 in the reverse reduction method. And also notice how this article, when I screen capped it, was last updated at 6:01 a.m. In regards to the 97 in the alphabetic order, 97 is the reverse value of death. And of course, he's being implicated in the death of the rapper. But there's a lot more to this riddle that I want to talk about in regards to Eric Holder. In my second post on the death of Nipsey Hussle, which I'm going to pull up here, I want to show you how I identified the number 69 as a major part of this ritual. First of all, the name Nipsey, or was it Hussle? Hussle sums to 84 in the alphabetic order. He died exactly a span of 84 weeks after the most recent total solar eclipse. It was also the governor of California's 84th day in office. Now, as we get down towards the end, we notice that this event was also aligned with the mayor of Los Angeles, Nipsey Hussle, shot and killed in South LA. So in the New Testament, Jesus was crucified under an event which is perceived by many historians to be a total solar eclipse. The word eclipse in the alphabetic order equals 69. An eclipse is the intersection of the two largest circles in the sky, circles also summing to 69. On the date that Nipsey Hussle was murdered, Mayor Eric Garcetti was in office for exactly a span of 69 months. That same date, March 31st, was also 69 days after the most recent total lunar eclipse. Lunar sums to 69 in the reverse order. Eclipse equals 69 in ordinal. This same date, March 31st, was also 60 months and 9 days before the next Great American Total Solar Eclipse, which occurs in the year 2024. In Hebrew, the word sacrifice equals the 69th prime number also. So I identified all of this before the announcement of Eric Holder as the suspect in this story. Well, wouldn't you know, this guy, Eric Holder, the former Attorney General of the United States, he was born January 21st of 1951. January 21st was the date of this year's blood moon total lunar eclipse. Well, if you measure from his birth date to the date of the murder, you find out he was 69 days into his 69th year since birth. So yet again, we're getting inundated with the number 69 here. It's crazy. And then you look at the license plate that Eric Holder, the license plate of the car that Holder was driving in this incident. The license plate number was 7RJD 742. In the reverse alphabetic order, this sums to 69. But that's not even all. In Jewish Gematria, this license plate sums to 704. Total solar eclipse equals 704. And again, 74, a significant number. The name Jesus equals 74. He died on a cross, which equals 74. Nipsey Hussle even had a son named Cross, believe it or not. It's like you can't make this shit up. They really are doing this. They also said that Eric Holder was driving a Chevy Cruze. And Chevy Cruze sums to 134, just like solar eclipse. All right, so the next story I want to look at, this week we got news that the first, well, there's a lot of firsts in this one. the first African American female mayor in Chicago history, who is also the first lesbian mayor in the city's history. Now, the date on which this story was in national headlines was April 3rd, the day after the election, after it was announced that Lori Lightfoot was the winner. So, the story reached the mind's eye of the masses on April 3rd, which was a date with 46 numerology. And how perfect is that? Chicago, using the alphabetic order, has a value of 46. This story is about a lesbian mayor being elected. Lesbian equals 46. And with the S exception, black lesbian equals 46 as well. In regards to the date April 3rd, this date is written 4/3. The word homosexual equals 43. Here we go. Now, a reason I mentioned 43 again is because look at this guy. We had the first ever gay male governor elected into the state of Colorado earlier this year. Or I think the election was in November. He assumed office on January 8th. This guy's name is Jared Polis. He's a homosexual, which sums to 43. He's the governor of Colorado, which sums to 43 in reverse. And look at this. He's the 43rd governor of Colorado. So yeah, here's a guy worth $400 million, pro-sodomy. What could go wrong? Using the alphabetic order, black lesbian equals 91. This is the same value as black female mayor, which sums to 91 in reverse. The city of Chicago has double gematria of 91, whether it's the English extended method or the Frank-Baconus method, which intersperses capital letters with small letters. Either way, Chicago sums to 91. Using the S exception, Chicago, Illinois even sums to 91. And on the date that this black lesbian, the black female mayor, was elected into office in Chicago, the date of the election was exactly 91 days before the next total solar eclipse. And this in itself might look like a little bit of a coincidence, but what if we measure to the most recent total solar eclipse, which to this day is still the 2017 Great American Eclipse? Lori Lightfoot was elected 589 days after that eclipse. In Jewish gematria, Lori Elaine Lightfoot, her full name, equals 589. And isn't it weird that a lesbian mayor would be coated with a solar eclipse? Doesn't that seem strange? Well, consider that lesbian mayor has the same exact gematria in all four base methods as solar eclipse: 134, 53, 190, and 73. As far as the 190 in reverse, April 3rd, the date of this news, also had a life lesson number of 19. The 19th prime number is 67. Prime numbers of utmost significance to this study. For some reason, this isn't popping up in a new tab. It's only using a new window. Anyway, 67, as you can see, the 19th prime number. In Jewish gematria, the word female equals 67. And remember, women were given the right to vote with the 19th Amendment, which was drafted in 1919. When abbreviated, Chicago, Illinois also sums to 67. and 670 in Satanic Gematria for Chicago, Illinois. Before I continue, let's touch a little bit more on the 19th Amendment. I want to show you something really, really wild that I found. Again, the 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. This amendment was submitted for approval in the year 1919. Female equals 67, the 19th prime number. When we spell out 19th Amendment, look at this, it sums to 607. Just like the number 67, like female, the 19th prime number. And how about this? Is this a coincidence? Women have the right to vote. This sums to 3,061. If you multiply 19 times 19, you get 361. So, again, maybe that's a coincidence, but what in the world? That seems way too coded. Anyway, let's continue. April 3rd, the date of this news, was the 93rd day of the year. Lori Lightfoot was born on a date with 93 numerology. The name Lori Lightfoot in Jewish Gematria sums to 509. This is a number that's commonly stamped on black people negatively throughout history in the media. The word slave equals 59. So does the pejorative term Negro, 59. Blues, 59. Rasta, 59. Again, not an exhaustive list. The final day of Black History Month is the 59th day of the year. Motown Records founded in the year 59. Black History Month is in February, which sums to 42. 42. A number also found in the Gematria of the N-word. Also worth mentioning that gay mayor equals 42. And 42, I mean, think about the date on which this gay mayor was elected. April 2nd, written 4/2. Not only is this number used pejoratively with blacks, but it's also used with women. And here we have a story about a black woman. The word female also sums to 42. So does the word lady, 42. The word bitch, 42, all in the alphabetic order. And not only was Lori Lightfoot elected on April 2nd, written 4/2, but this was also 4 months and 2 days after her birthday, or before her birthday. If you measure to her last birthday, it was a span of 242 days ago. This is also coded into the calendar. The 42nd prime number is 181. The date April 2nd sums to 181 in the reverse alphabetic order. Also, April 2nd sums to 116 in ordinal. This is the same gematria as African American, 116. In regards to her birthday being August 4th, or 8/4, this is the same birthday as former President Barack Obama, the first partially black president. He was also born on the date 8/4. The name Obama in Jewish gematria equals 84. And Barack Obama, remember, he was a senator from the state of Illinois. And now we get Lori Lightfoot elected mayor in Chicago, Illinois. I don't know what's going on there. Jeez. Ugh. You know, when I talk about what the conspiracy really is and how it's to distract us, keep us fearful, the conspiracy is also to remove as much beauty from the world as they can. This is why we're getting the transgendered agenda. It started out with gays, you know, something much more harmless. And now it's morphed into this twisted, unisexual land of infinite genders. And when you remove beauty from the world, you remove inspiration. And this is exactly what this is all about here. A couple more things about this story. Lori Lightfoot equals 185 in reverse. This is the ordinal value of the woman that she defeated in the election. Her name was Toni Preckwinkle, which is a funny name. Preckwinkle was born on March 17th, the date written 3/17. When you take the word lie and flip it upside down, you get the number 317. 317 is 7 months, 13 days after Lori Lightfoot's birthday. And remember, just recently, we've been inundated with the story about Jussie Smollett from Chicago. Jussie Smollett was born 3 months, 17 days after Chicago's anniversary. And when he was supposedly mugged in Chicago, he was 13,371 days old. So again, the same digits, the same numbers being repeated in the same stories about the same damn city. All right. Two more things I want to talk about. We're going to finish this up with a review of Sports by the Numbers, the 4th and 26 play from the Packers-Eagles back in 2004. Before we get there, I want to talk about why we got a Google Doodle from Google, of course, honoring Hugh Masekela, a flugelhornist who just turned 80 years old, or would have turned 80 years old, had he not died from prostate cancer in 2018. The instrument this man is playing is called a flugelhorn. Flugelhorn equals 44 in the reverse reduction method. This Google Doodle was published on the date written 4/4, April 4th. The word kill, using the alphabetic order, sums to 44. This year's April 4th would have been Masekela's 80th birthday. Now, why are they celebrating his 80th birthday? Well, let's explain why. For starters, I want to point out that the beast equals 80 using the alphabetic order. The number of the beast is 666. In Sumerian Gematria, which is the alphabetic order times 6, the name Hugh Masekela equals 666. This man died in the year 2018. 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. However, there's more to this. The number 80 sums to 74 in the alphabetic order. It's the only number that sums to 74 when spelled out in ordinal. Now, as we discussed, this is the gematria of Jesus, sums to 74. To kick this video off, we talked about the death of Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey equals 74. Of course, Tupac also died by this code. His other name was Machiavelli, which sums to 74. The name Biggie Smalls equals 74. Biggie, which equals 39, died on the date March 9th, written 3/9. It was the same date as an eclipse, which equals 39. A total solar eclipse, nonetheless. So we know that 74, the ordinal value of 80, is very significant to this code. Now, we mentioned how 666 is the number of the beast, but do understand that this number is also used in regards to Jesus Christ. And consider that not only does Jesus equal 74, but Lucifer equals 74. The Bible, in truth, is likely a story about duality in many regards. Now, 666 is the 36th triangular number, which means if you add every number, 1 through 36, you get a sum of 666. Well, the 36th prime number is 151. The name Jesus Christ equals 151 in the alphabetic order. The 151st prime number is 877. This man's full name was Hugh Ramapolo Masekela. And using English extended gematria, his name equals 877, the 151st prime. Now, as I mentioned, according to the New Testament, Jesus appears to have been crucified during a solar eclipse. The name Hugh Ramapolo Masekela equals 202 in the alphabetic order and 2 Kabbalah methods. So he's got triple gematria of 202. His name also matches total solar eclipse in Jewish ordinal, 191. When you write out 666 or triple sixes, these have a value of 156 in ordinal. This is the same as the number 33 when spelled out. "156 is the Hebrew gematria of the word eclipse. The name Hugh Ramapolo Masekela sums to 1506 in trigonal gematria, using triangular numbers. In Francis Bacon, his name sums to 280. That's the Hebrew gematria of total solar eclipse. But we're focusing on the 156 here, because if you measure from the first Great American total solar eclipse, which was the most recent total eclipse before Masekela's death, you find he died a span of 156 days later. If you measure to the next total solar eclipse, which occurs on July 2nd, 2019, he died 525 days before that eclipse. The name Hugh Masekela equals 525 in English extended. Now, if you measure from his death to the second Great American total solar eclipse, you get a span of 6 years and 77 days. Hugh Ramapolo Masekela equals 677 in Jewish gematria. 677 is also a prime number. See how 677 is the 123rd prime number. Hugh Masekela died on the date 123. That date is January 23rd. When you write out January 23rd, it sums to 85 and 104, which is the same values as the name Hugh Ramapolo Masekela. On this date, he died of prostate cancer, which sums to 85. Now, the date January 23rd is interesting for another reason. First of all, January 23rd was the birth date of XXX Tentacion. Remember, I talked about him dying by the eclipse code earlier in this video. In the reduction method, the phrase crucifixion of Jesus Christ sums to 123. 33 is often cited as the age Jesus was when he was crucified. Those who believe Jesus died under a lunar eclipse believe he died in the lunar eclipse that occurred in the year 33 AD. Crucifixion of Jesus Christ equals 303 in the alphabetic order. The word eclipse equals 33 in reduction. Using prime numbers, Hugh Masekela equals 330. In extended gematria, crucifixion of Jesus Christ equals 2130. In the reverse alphabetic order, the name Hugh Masekela equals 213, and he died a span of 2 months, 13 days before his birthday. The word death equals 213 in satanic gematria. Earlier in the video, I talked about how the number 80, when spelled out, is the only number that sums to 74 in the alphabetic order. Well, there's only one number that sums to 74 in the reverse alphabetic order. That number is 42. Remember, in my decode on Lori Lightfoot, we saw how she was elected on 4/2, 4 months, 2 days before her birthday. 42, always used in rituals mocking African Americans. In the Bible, the New Testament, which sums to 42, begins with the 42 generations to Jesus. Eclipse equals 42 with the S exception. The date on which Hugh Masekela died, 1 plus 23 plus 18, equals 42. And if you measure from his most recent birthday to the date of his death, it was exactly 42 weeks. As far as the date January 23rd, internationally this date is written 23/1. 231 is the 21st triangular number. And when we write out the number 21, it sums to 42. In reverse reduction, it sums to 39. Masekela was born in the year 39. Remember the word eclipse, also summing to 39. Now, by dying exactly 42 weeks after his birthday, as you can see on the calculator here on the right, this is also 9 months and 19 days. I find 919 to be an interesting number because when you flip it upside down, you get 616. This is the gematria of ritual sacrifice, 616. Ritual human sacrifice equals 895. This is the same as the number 33, the age at which Jesus was crucified. Remember, Judas equals 895. He betrayed Jesus. Well, this is the death of a flugelhornist, and flugelhornist sums to 895 in English Extended. Finally, the date on which he died had numerology of 17 and 62. The word kill equals 17 and sacrifice equals 62 in reverse. So, I mean, how solid is this between the decode of Lori Lightfoot and Hugh Masekela? And even with the story about Nipsey Hussle, this eclipse code is the most legit shit that exists, I think, when it comes to numerology and gematria. Like, this is the source code, almost, if you will. Special shout out to everybody who jumped in here on the live stream. Good to see Bartley Gerba in here. Bartley, if you want to email me, go ahead. I'll go ahead and check it later today. I have not been checking my email very often since it's just been way too clogged up. So, yeah, shoot me an email. Again, it's derek@gematrinator.com. Derek being spelled D-E-R-E-K. I'm probably not going to be looking into the Masters. Last year I did look into the Masters, and I consider myself kind of close with my prediction. I predicted a guy who would have been, I think it was 9,110 days old on the date of the final. However, the guy who ended up winning was 10,109 days old. So I had the 119 sequence right, but I was wrong. I'm not going to do any work on it today. I don't really care about sports. Sports are a total waste of time. Sports are you watching other people play sports. Go play sports yourself. So unless you're, some people are making money off this. They're making a little bit of money. It's really difficult to make a career off of sports betting with gematria. I definitely do not encourage anyone to do it. I strongly encourage everyone to instead live their life and find something fun to do. And spread some truth. I don't mean to call you out or single you out. It's just I just don't care about sports decoding. So Of course, I say that, and I have a sports decode on the left side of the screen. And this was a play that happened about 15 years ago. But I just want to show how obviously this play was coded by the numbers. And again, I believe sports are rigged. I think the most likely situation is that there are at least many players on the field who are actors, if not all of them. The coaches are definitely in on it. The refs are definitely in on it. I'm not certain all the players are in on it. You don't need every single position player, and especially in a football game, to be in on the rigging. Again, I believe they probably are, but I don't know for sure. I tended to lean towards the idea that the general managers, the coaches, are using some form of mysticism when it comes to setting their rosters up. They're getting players with certain gematria, certain birthdays, and they are lining it up with the intent that these teams will win a championship on a certain date. And I honestly, truly believe that they are manipulating this matrix that we live in, so to speak, so that they get their desired outcome. It's a form of magic, essentially. Because they understand that things naturally happen by the numbers. And if they want something to occur, they want to make sure that as many numbers line up as possible so that they can then get that desired outcome. And I believe that has something to do with sports rigging. Again, I'm just not sold that every single player on every team is involved in this. I think there's something else going on. Again, that's a controversial thing. A lot of people think I'm an idiot for thinking that. Well, I think a lot of people are idiots for ignoring what I've revealed about the organic matrix and how strong it really is. Literally every major thing that happens to you in your life is coded by the numbers. It's just a matter of whether or not you discover it. Now, with that rant, so to speak, aside, let's get into this play and talk about how I believe it was set up and staged by the numbers. Most people know about this play. It was called 4th and 26. Now, I am a recovering sports fan. I live in Wisconsin, so I loved the Green Bay Packers. And this play broke my heart. I mean, you had Brett Favre, whose father just died a month earlier. Suddenly, the team won several games in a row. They were steamrolling into the playoffs. It looked like they were on their way to another Super Bowl. And then suddenly, 4th and 26 happened. And this was the start of just years and years and years of torture for Packer fans in the playoffs. And it just didn't seem that it was possible at the time. How do you let a team get 4th and 26? How do they convert? Well, the play was rigged. And if you ask me, if there's any positions in the defense that are agents, so to speak, it would be the safeties. They can just let guys run freely, wide open, and that's what happened here. Also, the coordinators, think about how the coordinators can have a huge hand in rigging these games. Anyone who's played Madden understands how easy it is to set up a counter defense when you know what play the offense is going to run, and vice versa. All right, so anyway, the play was converted by wide receiver Freddie Mitchell. And here's a look at Freddie Mitchell's Wikipedia page. This man is now 40 years old. The name Freddie Mitchell equals 272 in the reverse alphabetic order. When you write out 4th down and 26, it also sums to 272. Freddie Mitchell was born on November 28th. This means that on the date of the game, he was exactly 322 days before his birthday. Using the alphabetic order, 4th down and 26 equals 322. (322 days is also a span of 10 months and 18 days. This guy's full name, Freddie Lee Mitchell Jr., equals 1018. I did a video a couple months ago on the death of Irvin Favre. And if you saw that video and or post, you know that this ritual was littered with the numbers of masonry. And it's clear to see why. He was the father of Brett Favre, the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, whose logo is a G, just like Freemasonry's emblem is a big capital G. Freemasonry equals 139. The city of Green Bay equals 139. So this theme of Masonic numbers continued less than a month later when Favre's team lost. In fact, this whole incident was a tribute to the death of Irvin Favre. Freddie Lee Mitchell Jr. equals 357 in reverse. This is the English gematria of the word Freemason, 357. In Jewish gematria, Freemasonry equals 787. On the date of this NFC divisional playoff game, with the 4th and 26 play, Irvin Favre would have been a span of 708 months and 7 days old. His son Brett, who was playing quarterback for Green Bay, was 1,787 weeks old. The quarterback who then dashed the Packers' Super Bowl hopes, his name was Donovan Jamal McNabb. His name equals 787 in Satanic gematria. So we mentioned the 787. How about 1147? Well, 4th and 26. After this play was converted, the Eagles tied the game with a field goal. This sent the game into overtime. On the first drive in overtime, Brett Favre threw an interception to Brian Dawkins. The Eagles then took the ball and kicked a field goal to win the game. Brian Dawkins was born on October 13th, 1973, meaning that on the date of the game, he was 11,047 days old. Freemasonry equals 1147. You see that, guys? The NFL just Freemasonry every week, Masonic numbers, rituals to death. It's disgusting what these games are. Also, the name Brian Dawkins using square numbers sums to 1911. And this is significant because ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, the full name sums to 1911 in Jewish gematria. So Donovan McNabb, who was the quarterback of the Eagles, he was born on November 25th, 1976. That means on the date of this game, he was 9,909 days old. This ritual was for the death of the father of Brett Favre. Brett Favre equals 999 in extended form. Their birthdays are separated by 2,603 days. Masonic equals 263. McNabb's full name sums to 58 in reduction. This is the same as Freemasonry, 58. Irvin Favre died at the age of 58. The name Irvin Favre equals 65. That's the reduction value of the city of Philadelphia, where the Eagles are from. If you measure from the death of Irvin Favre to Green Bay's game against Philadelphia, you find it was a span of 22 days. Eagles equals 22. 22 is the master builder number in Freemasonry. Master builder number, using the alphabetic order, equals 220. This game took place in the National Football League, which equals 220, a sport in which there are always 22 men on the field. Also, in the reverse order, 4th and 26 equals 220. So, how do you like this NFL now? The truth is out there, and the truth is far more sick than most people would ever establish. The NFL was indeed started by a Freemason. If you look at the origins of the NFL, look up Walter Camp, look up Amos Alonzo Stagg. Amos Alonzo Stagg. Division III football has their championship named the Stagg Bowl. This guy is a very integral figure in football, and his name also saw me to 220. The other guy was Walter Camp. Walter Camp equals 158, which is the reverse value of Freemasonry. Same cipher. Alright guys, that's going to do it for my video. It's 11:47 local time. This is perfect for me because 11:47, the value that I was just talking about, Freemasonry, right there on the screen. So I'm going to cut it off here. Thanks to everybody for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, as once again, YouTube is not spreading this content with its algorithms anymore. It's on us to get this information out there for ourselves and learn a little bit more about this crazy matrix that we all live in. So thanks to everybody for the kind words and to all who pitched in during the live stream. Peace, love, and God bless. Thanks again, everybody. Adios.